Hello Arjun. Hello Ravindu. Hello Sai. Are you able to? I'm audible, right? Are you able to hear me? Type yes if you are able to hear me. Okay. Thank you, Arjun. Okay. Let's wait one more minute so others can join. Thank you, Sidhu. I hope yesterday's session was helpful and it's give you some light basically on might be some of the darkest area or something, right? As we know in the IT industry, no one is perfect, right? 100% perfect. So we need to continuous keep learning ourselves and grow with the help of network and other stuff. Okay. Thank you, Ravindu. Hmm. Let me share my screen so I can show you something. Let me know once it's visible. Okay. Let me know once my screen is visible to you. You can just type yes if you are able to see my screen. Okay. Yeah, then we can start. I think it's 5 minutes over. So today we will see about the load balancer, then S3 bucket and IMA users and the roles basically. Okay, these are the important areas when you work in the cloud or as a DevOps engineer. Okay, so even if you are using a Lambda functions or any containerization or any EC2 instance, right? So from for that as well, you can use load balancer. Okay, to route the traffic basically. Okay, distribute the load basically. So let me draw one simple diagram here. Let's say we have a load balancer here. Okay, and on top of that on the behind that we have two server, let's say for now. So basically I'm just showing how the load balancer works. So basically let's say user is here. Okay, he is trying to access your application URL. Okay, so what will happen here, so your load balancer will check if you are already aware about the how to set up the load balancer basically. So when we create the load balancer first, then we need to add the target, right? It might target might be your lambda functions or any EC2 instance or other stuff, right? So here we have a EC2 instance. Okay, so when user hit your application URL basically, let's say example.com. Okay, so then load balancer will check your healthy state target basically. Let's say you have a two EC2 instance, so load balancer will check healthy state machine and he will serve the traffic as a round robin method. You know what is the round robin method basically? Round robin method means if suppose let's say user one trying to hit your application. So first traffic will route to EC2 one. Okay, then second traffic will request will send to server 2. Okay, this way as a round robin method, load balancer will handle your traffic basically. Okay, if you again send the request, so he will send the request to server 1. Then if you again try to send the request, he will try to send to another healthy state machine. Okay, EC2 servers. Let's say due to any issues like your network issues or server, you have manually shut down the servers or any issue occurred basically with the server 2. So what will happen when user hit the applications URL basically? So So load balancer will check the status here, target status, health check basically. So if he found the status is not healthy, so he will route the traffic to which is the healthy state server basically. Okay, server one. So this way load balancer will works. Okay, now let's say we have a both server healthy state. Okay, in the load balancer there is a sticky bit session feature basically. Okay, sometimes we have a requirement like in the real time basically, so we want to serve the traffic from only single servers. Okay, so in that situation we can use sticky bit session. Okay, this is the concept for sticky bit session. If you want to set a sticky bit session for particular duration, 1 hour or something, so if you send a request, if you configure the sticky bit session over there, and then that's, let's say you just configure the session for this one, and if a request comes to the server, so again the particular duration whatever you have set up during the sticky bit configuration, so on that duration he will send the request to only that particular servers. Okay, so when you create the load balancer in the advanced options, you will see that option basically. Okay, let's say I am in the AWS console now, so if I just open the load balancer, I have not configured that sticky bit session, but I will show you that option. So there are lots of options you can see, monitoring metrics and the how to set up the load balancer and the how to attach the targets. Okay, then how can you attach as a HTTPS, so SSL certificate. You can find that over there. If you just click on the load balancer, then if you just scroll down a little bit, you will see lots of options there. Details, listen and rules, network mapping, security. Security is basically when you design the architecture for the EC2 instance, you have to create a separate security group, right? To open the particular ports for the specific network. For the, if let's say you have a public facing load balancer, okay, so you can maintain the separate security group for the load balancer. So you don't need to open any EC2 related security group here. If you just scroll down a little bit, so you will see the options here, and if you just can click on that, you will open the load balancer security group. Okay, and you can see the inbound and outbound rules here. So for now I'm just skipping that part. So if you just open the details part here, you can see lots of information here. Okay, so you can see here the internet facing load balancer, hosted zone ID, when your load balancer you created, right, and which availability zones you configured. You will get the DNS endpoint here. Okay, then you load balancer ARN, and if you just click on listener URL, basically you can see the, I have configured the SSL certificate here as a listener port, and I have routed my traffic to my target group. Okay, if I click on my target group, I will route to target group where I configured the EC2 servers. I have only one EC2 instance as of now. Okay, so if I just open the target here, you can see here I have one EC2 instance attached here as a target. Okay, so my load balancer will send the traffic to EC2 instance. Okay, because it's a configured as a target, and you can see the status here, healthy states, and also you can check the other parameter here. Okay, on which port you have configured and the region basically, zone. Okay, if you just click on monitoring, you will see the monitoring related options here. Okay, you can see here the unhealthy states or whatever, there are multiple parameters you can see here. Okay, and if you just click on health checks, you can configure your application or load balancer level health check basically, so it will automatically check your target health checks over there. Okay, so back to the load balancer. If I just click on security attributes, okay, let me open in as edit mode. So you can see here the deletion protection. Yesterday I told you how we can to protect termination protection basically, how you can enable the for that EC2 instance. Okay, for the load balancer you can also check for the uh, you can enable this option. So someone, if accidentally or manual mistakes happen, someone try to delete your load balancer basically, he won't get the access to delete the load balancer. So you need to enable these options. Okay, so you can see there are lots of options there. Okay, Also you can enable the access log here, access log details, connection logs. There are lots of options you can see here. Okay, and once you done the particular changes, then you can just save and just okay. And if you want to from the action, you can also check the other options here. Okay, security groups, load balancer attributes. If I just click on the load balancer attributes, we will go to same page here. Okay, you can see the other same options here. Okay, so for now I will not make any changes. Okay, and if you go to the monitoring tab here, you can see the all the parameters here, target response time, how your load balancer working basically. Okay, how much request your load balancer are hitting, getting basically. You can select the particular time period here, duration, and you can see the number of count. Okay, how much request you are receiving on the applications. Okay, so you can set either local time zone or UTC, and you can check the matrix here. Okay, you can see other request as well, monitoring metrics here, target response time, then error code basically, HTTP, ELB, whatever. Okay, there are multiple parameters are there in monitoring, so you can just check. Okay, and if I go to target group here from this way, and if I click on the target groups, you can also check the status from here. Okay, what is the port number, and the health check basically. Okay, and the target group monitoring status. Okay, you can see here. So in the real time basically, sometimes you will get the, if some any issues happen with the your target as an instance, right? So the status it will convert as a change as a unhealthy state. Okay, so you can add the monitoring status in the CloudWatch alarm basically, to continuously check the health checks for the load balancer as a target. Okay, and if in the intro questions, so you might get sometimes the questions basically, how to check the load balancer IP address. Okay, if you are not aware about these questions, I have already prepared the video on my YouTube channel. So let me once again show you. Okay, you just need to copy this load balancer name here. Okay, and from the left side you can see network interface option. Okay, under the network and security, and if you just paste here the load balancer name, and you can see here the IP address. Okay, you will get the network interface ID, subnet, security groups. Okay, and here you will get your load balancer IP address. Okay, these are the IP address. Okay, so this way you can, from the network interface, you can get the IP address of the load balancer. Okay, but as a DNS mapping, don't try to map with the load balancer IP address. Okay, because it might change after the certain time of period. Okay, so obviously the best practice is you can use your load balancer DNS endpoint basically. From where you can get that load balancer DNS endpoint, let me show you. If you just click on your load balancer, just scroll down, or either you can get from here as well. Okay, DNS name. If I just try to hit this one, okay, so it will route to that particular applications, but it's I have configured the load balancer name here, so it will not work because I have I have configured the SSL certificate for the particular domain name. So if I open this ACM service, certificate manager service basically. Okay, so per domain you can use one SSL certificate. There is no charge from the AWS side. You can use one certificate free of cost. Okay, if I open this ACM service, AWS certificate manager. Okay, and just click on list certificates, you can see I have a number of certificate assigned for the each domain basically. Okay, so if I just try to, let me try to open this one. So you can see here I just use when I purchase the domain name basically, I use wildcard certificate. Okay, so wildcard, why wildcard basically? So let's say sometimes, so you might aware about this. Let me type this domain name here. So This will by default supported the domain name here. Okay, this is my website basically. You can just explore later on. I have mentioned all the services details here. Okay, also I have the contact number here. Let's say I want to add any subdomain name here, like AWS dot domain name. Okay, so this when you purchase wildcard certificate, it will automatically support your HTTP request. Okay, as of now I don't have any DNS mapping for this domain name, subdomain name basically. So that is the reason he is giving the error. Okay, but if you have any application hosted with the subdomain name, so in that case your certificate will support. Okay, there you can see in the options here. If you I open the certificate details here. Okay, how we can verify with the certificate. If I open this one, okay, just click on that. The connection is secure, then certificate is valid. Here you will get all the certificate details basically, when your certificate is going to expire, on what domain name it's purchased, right? As you can see, I have only, it's showing only main domain name basically. Okay, it's not showing the wildcard certificate. Okay, if you just click on details and just scroll down a little bit, you will see the options that where you can verify basically on wildcard certificate purchase or not. There is something options. Yeah, here certificate subject alternative name. Okay, so here you can fetch the details about you have is which domain you have added when at the time of purchasing the certificate basically. Okay, so this way you can get the details. Okay, question part I will come after this session. Okay, so now come to the S3 bucket basically. As we have as you know, S3 bucket is used for the storage purpose, right? We can store any kind of application data, logs, or any files, any kind of format. Okay, there is no restriction for that. So the condition is to create the S3 bucket basically, that name should be unique. Okay, let's say I have this AWS Guruji bucket name. Right now if you're trying to create this bucket with the same name, you won't be able to create that. Okay, because it's a unique one. So bucket name should be unique. Okay, and it should not be a capital letter. It should be a small case. Okay, as you can see, it's all a small case letter. Okay, if I open this any one particular bucket basically, so as a real time you can use as a for the data storage or application storage obviously, but I'm just going through the some properties here. As you might aware about the S3 bucket hosting, right? Static website hosting. So S3 bucket, normally we know we use S3 bucket as a storage service, right? But you can host your simple static website as well on this S3 bucket. Okay, if you click on the properties option and just little bit scroll down, okay, you will get that option, static website hosting. If you just click on this, okay, and if you enable this options, and you need to give your document root name basically, index.html or index.php, whatever you have, static website homepage. Okay, you can just add that and you just need to click on save changes. Okay, so after that it will gives one endpoint here. Okay, without https. Okay, so that URL you can use as your applications if you have a simple website basically, like a blog kind of thing or any static website, simple information. Okay, portfolio kind of a website, simple one. Okay, and you can see other lots of details here. And under the permissions you can manage your bucket policy basically. Let's say you this is your let's say production account. Okay, for your one of the project, and you have another team who want to access your this bucket, right, from their applications. So in that situation you need to configure the S3 bucket policy for the cross account setup. Okay, because someone from the another team, he want to access your S3 bucket data, right? So in that situation you can add the bucket policy here. Okay, simply you can just click on edit bucket policy, and you can find the add the policy here. Okay, for the cross account. So here you can add their IAM role, ARN basically, and the permissions and your bucket name. Okay, so for the bucket policy you can easily find out on the internet basically for the cross account setup. Or I already prepared the one of the video on my channel, so you can just watch that, okay, how to give the cross account access and how to access from the EC2 instance. Okay, so I have already prepared that, you can just watch. And the inside the matrix, okay, you can check the, let's say in the normally Linux command we can easily check, right, displays by using a df-h command or something, right? But in the console as a AWS for the S3 bucket, there is a options matrix. So you can basically just select the duration here, okay, and you can just check the bucket size, basically how much data consumed and how much number of object basically, okay. If someone in the real time someone asks you like how much data size we are consuming, right? So you can, from the matrix options, you can just get those details basically, bucket size and number of objects, okay. And if you look at the management options, so sometimes in the real time cases basically you have a large scale data hosted or your any logs basically, okay, logs or any data you doesn't require after 1 month or certain periods, right? You need only last 1 month data. This question you might will get in the interview basically, okay. So let's say you want to delete data after 1 month, so how you can set up for the S3 bucket, right? So and under the management options you can set up this lifecycle policy. If you just click on the lifecycle policy, okay, you will get all those options. Either you can apply this policy for the all the S3 bucket or for any particular folder basically, okay. Let's say you have a log folder in that particular S3 bucket, in this bucket basically, and you want to delete the data only from the log folder, okay, then you can choose options according to that use cases basically, okay. You can see here apply to all objects, okay, or any limited scope basically, okay. And you can add the prefix here, let's say slash log, okay. You can see the options here. So this way you can just add that, and you can check the actions here. So you want to delete just 1 minute guys. Sorry, my kids was around. Okay. So where I was, okay. So here lifestyle rules action basically. Inside the life cycle rule action you can set that up command basically options. Expire the current objects after a certain period, you can mention the number of days basically. Let's say you want to expire the data from after 1 month, so you can just give that days here, okay, 30 days or whatever the use cases in your project basically, okay. So you can see multiple options here according to use cases, you can just set up that, okay. Once you set that, you can see the options here. Let's say I just mentioned 4 days, you can see the review here, okay. So what will happen once object uploaded after 4 days, it will expire basically, okay. You can see the options here, just review, okay. Then you can just click on create rules, and after that you don't need to manually manage it, okay. It will automatically delete the data your after whatever the date you have, days you have given basically, okay. 1 week or 1 month or whatever, okay. So this way you can manage the lifecycle policy. So now in the real time cases you might get the options like, you want to migrate your S3 bucket data to another S3 bucket or in different AWS accounts, okay, in different S3 bucket, okay. So for that you can use data sync service, okay. This is the there are multiple ways, like if it's a small scale data like within a 1 GB or something, there are multiple ways to migrate the data from one bucket to another bucket. The one way is from the consoles, you can just download the objects one by one and then upload the on the target S3 bucket. But this is not a feasible or good option basically. So second option is you can use command line utility, AWS S3 command utility basically. From there you can just sync your current S3 bucket data to target S3 bucket, okay. And the option other third one is very best option basically. You can try this one, data sync service. I think I already prepared the video on my YouTube channel. You can just watch that. Okay. So data sync service to migrate the your S3 bucket data from one location to another bucket basically. Okay. If you just click on create task, you can see you need to configure the source location. Okay, source bucket. There are multiple location type you can see here: NFS, SMB, Samba basically, SDFS, Hadoop data, your EFS data basically. Okay, there are lots of source and target data. You can just find the media basically. If you just click on S3 bucket, you need to select the region, source region basically, where the bucket is hosted currently. Then you can just select the current bucket from where you want to move the data. Okay, let's say I want to move the data from this bucket, AWS Guruji. If you want to migrate any particular folder, then you can just mention here, otherwise you can just skip that and just click on next. Okay, on the second way, and as a second configuration, you need to select for the as a destination. Okay, where you want to migrate that data basically. Okay, so here you can just select the location type as a S3 bucket. Okay, and here you can just give the target bucket where you want to migrate basically. Okay, so this way you can just, and once the job configured, you can easily just run that command, or both ways. Either you can just manually execute that jobs, or you can schedule that jobs basically. Let's say like a cron jobs, so you want to daily sync the data from particular period, right? A particular time, like 7 a.m. or something, whatever. Okay, so you can just set cron job there as a scheduler. So next thing we have for IMA. Okay, let me open the IAM. As part of the storage costing basically, you can see the S3 bucket is cheaper as compared to EC2, EBS volume, or other stuffs. As I said yesterday, you can just simply search AWS calculator. Okay, and you can get all the details. It's a website like calculator.aws. Okay, and you will get all the options from where you can get the estimate basically. You can design your costing here. Okay, if you just click on create estimate, you can select whatever the services you are going to create on your infrastructure basically. So this will required when we design an architecture and before submission to the approval basically. So how much cost we will get over there as a on demand or in a reserve instance. Okay, so this way you can there are lots of options service wise. You can just explore these options. Okay, so as we know, IMA users or roles, identity access management basically. So it's very important part in the AWS. Okay, so why we need IMA users or role basically. Let's say there are two things, users and roles. Okay, so first we can just check with the users. So users is basically, if we create a user basically, let's say for this AWS account I have full access. Okay, so let's say someone from the you guys, I want to give any read only access or any permissions, S3 bucket permission or something. Okay, for the console based access. So for that I can create simply one user here. Okay, I can give the any name here. Okay, and then here is option provide user to management consoles. Here we can simply create the custom password. Okay, here the options, you can simply use auto generated password or custom password. And then once user has been created, you can simply share these credentials to that particular user. Okay, so he can just use that credentials to log in this AWS account. Okay, and he can do whatever he has the permission. Let's say if you have admin permission, then he can do as a admin roles, he can launch any kind of resources. If we assign the policy like on the S3 bucket or EC2 instance, he can only work on that those areas whatever we have bound. Okay, as a policy. So in the real-time cases, so let's say we have a requirement to give the any particular user access with the S3 bucket or the EC2 instance. Okay, so just don't try to give the full access over there as administrator access. Just give only particular access only there. Okay, so how you can access give the access? Let me open any one of the user here. Okay, let's say admin. So if you just open that user, you can see the permission tab. Okay, as of now it's administrator access, but you can just click on add permission. Okay, and from here there's option attach the policy directly, and you can see there are, you can see the number of policies, okay, already predefined by the AWS manage policy basically. Okay, let's say, let me show search the S3. You can see Amazon S3 full access here, or any particular access, right? AWS read only access, or any particular access required, you can see here. Let's say I want to give only lambda function access, right? So that user can create only lambda functions. So here you can see number of options like a lambda function full access, lambda function read only access. Okay, so he can just view only. Okay, he can't do any changes over there. So this kind of policy you can attach as a best practice. Okay, just if there are not until and unless there are requirement like you need to give the full access, only that situation you need to give the full access. Otherwise you need to give the restricted access. Okay, you don't need to assign full access for the security point of view. So here you can see the options type basically customer and AWS manage. So AWS manage policy we can't edit basically. Okay, but as a customer manage means we created the custom policy, we can change anytime. Okay, if I open the any policy, let's say this one, so it's a JSON format basically. You can see if I open the JSON, you can see the policy like this. Okay, let me open another any custom policy. Okay, I have, let's say this one. You can see this policy. Okay, and you can from here you can just simply edit it if you want to change any permission. Okay, and now coming to the roles basically, as we seen for the users we can generate credentials, right? Credentials for the console based access, but as a roles we can't create that kind of credentials, and we can't assign as a console access basically. So roles we use as a for the programmatic access. Let's say you have any SDK based applications from where you want to access any S3 bucket or to store the data or something, right? So in that situation, sorry, for the roles basically this is bound to only a particular AWS account. Okay, you can't use that from outside the your AWS network. Okay, so role always should be bound, will use have to inside the account basically. You can't use outside your AWS. Okay, so as we seen role you can manage. With the roles we get the access and secret key and access key basically. If you click on the security credentials for the users, we can generate the access key and secret key. So these access key and secret key basically you can see here. Just if you just simply click on this access key, you will get the username password kind of the random number basically over there. Okay, so that access key and secret key you can use on your local machines, and you can access your AWS resources basically, whatever the permissions you have. Let's say if you have a full access, you can manage or create, delete, or any modify any services by using AWS command line utility. Okay, this is the feature of the users. Okay, now coming to the roles basically. For the roles you can't use outside the AWS. Okay, as I said, your roles you can use for the EC2 instance lambda functions. Okay, so what is the use case or benefit for the user having the role basically? So for the, if you consider the security point, so here for the roles you don't need to manage the credentials here. Okay, let's say you have a one admin access, admin user, or let's say example user, and you have a full access. Okay, somehow by mistakes or any deliberately or by mistakes, your credentials, security credentials basically, it's compromised, or you posted somewhere in the as a blog in the GitHub public repository. So in that situation, if your credentials compromise, okay, and you have a full admin full access for this account, let's say in that situation, who let's say someone got your account access, so he can terminate all the resources from your AWS accounts. So you can just think on that area basically. If someone get the access of your AWS account, and this is a very critical situation for you guys. Okay, and he can just, if you delete your production servers or a production lambda functions, let's say you have a production database and he deleted all the steps, backups and all the steps, then what will happen? So it will be a very big escalation, right? So as a best security point of view, Definitely there are lots of options. There are, you can rotate the credentials over there if there are any certain use cases. But as a recommendation, you should not use as a user basically. You should use roles here, okay, for the lambda function and your EC2 instance. Let's say you want to perform any operations from your EC2 instance, so you can attach, create roles here, okay, simply, and you can attach the permissions. Then you can how you can attach this role to your EC2 instance basically. Let me show you that. So let's simply just click on the EC2 instance. I think session timeout, okay. So let me open my this instance. I want to access my account S3 bucket basically from this EC2 instance. So I don't need to create any users and get the access credentials basically here, okay. I can simply create any roles here and give the S3 bucket policy. And how can attach from the instance action, security. Here you can get the options, modify IAM role, okay. As of now there are no any roles attached, okay. If you have any particular roles created already, okay, you can see here, or you can just type your that particular role name, okay, and you can simply attach here, update IAM roles. So now that role has been successfully attached, okay. If I just open this and just connect with the server, okay, as I shown yesterday how we can connect from the console. I don't need any putty here to connect that server basically. So it will take a little bit time. It's depend upon your network speed basically. Yeah, I'm able to log in. Let's say I just use the command AWS S3 LS here. So as of now, I think that role we have attached, I think that doesn't have a permission. So what we can do is we can create one role just for this show you how we can create the new roles and attach. Let's go to the roles, okay. Let me create one role here. You can select the services type here, service. Then use cases, you can select EC2 instance, okay, and then just click on next. Here you will get the all the policies here. So for now I just want to give the S3 bucket full access, and just for the practice purpose I am just giving the full access. But in the real time cases, if you have any custom access policy basically, let's say you don't want to give all the S3 bucket access, okay. In the production there might be a number of S3 bucket, okay. So if you have a requirement to give only for the particular bucket access, so you can create the custom policy for that single bucket, okay. And you can just simply select that policy and just click on next. You can give the role name like AWS boot camp, whatever you want to give, and just copying this number name and just create role, okay. So role has been created. Now coming to the EC2 instance, just refresh it, select that EC2 instance, same option from the action, security, modify IAM role, okay. Here just paste the name, we will get it, okay, and just click on modify. What is the error applications profile? Let me refresh the session. Just click on action, then security, modify, just paste here, okay. I think there might be different issues. I will fix it later, but for now let me show you. Let's say I have this AWS training role, so let me find out the permission for that. AWS training role, okay. So for this, I have EC2 full access. So let me add S3 bucket full permission here. Okay, S3 full permission. Just simply click on just select that policy and click on add permission. Okay, so now just click on update role. I think same error. The association not the active association. Okay, there might be different stuff. I will fix it later. So maybe I will show you this remaining part in on the tomorrow session. Basically, I will fix those area. Okay, but this way you can just connect your server and you can access your S3 bucket. If you have any use cases like from the application you want to store any data from the S3 bucket. Okay, there might be different use cases. So this way you can attach your role to your EC2 instance here. Okay, you can run this command, and to configure this credential you can just run this AWS configure. I don't want to give any access and credentials here. Okay, okay, so as of now there are no permissions, so it's giving the error. So I will sort out today and will try to show you tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all for the today's session. So if you have any questions you can ask. Merugu Santosh, my AWS account is suspended. How to activate it? Okay, so if you have, let's say, if you have used for and you got any charges, right? And if you don't pay that charges for after number of reminder, basically, so AWS what will happen? They will suspend your accounts. Okay, either if you have a minimum amount, let's say 10 rupees or 100 rupees, so you can just pay that amount, and it will after the payment they will activate your account basically. Okay, otherwise you can just simply contact the AWS support to activate your accounts if there are any not related issue to the payment basically. Okay, so in that situation you can contact to AWS support team. They will help out to activate. Mohammed is asking, I forgot the Jenkins user ID password. Also, Jenkins folder was not showing in my device. Ideally, this should not be a issue. Basically, we need to maintain our credentials. So in the organization, we use one password or LastPass, right, to store the credentials. So even if you have this question, let me note down it. Okay. What is the Arjun is asking? What is the difference between load balancer and Route 53? Route 53 is basically you can point the DNS mapping, right? If you have a load balancer is basically to route the traffic or to multiple your target basically multiple EC2 instance, so he can route the traffic. And the Route 53 is DNS service basically, so you can map your domain name there, because remembering the IP address it's very hectic, right? We can't remember. So best option is we can use as a DNS service. So Route 53 is a part of the DNS service basically. And why it's give the Route 53 name? Because the DNS port number is 53, so they use that 53 port number here. In real time also, Patnam is asking, in real time also are connecting to EC2 this same way. No, actually, because I have a AC console access, that's why I'm just accessing from here. But in the different project there might be different situation. Sometimes company don't allow to access as on the from the public network, so there might be a bastion server which is hosted on the public subnet basically VPC. First we have to connect that bastion server, or sometimes we call it as a jump server. Okay, from there you can connect your machines. Either it might be Windows server or Linux machine. Okay, so directly this way it's a you can't access if you don't have a console access. Okay, the other way is you can use your putty to connect your machines basically, EC2 instance.